fellas. At this time, I'm going to turn the floor over to Mr. Tavon Parker. I had the pleasure of coaching Tavon. If I had to think about in my coaching career, I'm trying to think about the smartest players I've ever coached. Like just basketball intellect. Understanding the game, both ends of the floor, being a complete player, offensively, defensively, rebounding. If the ball was loose around, if the ball was free, or if you exposed the ball around him, forget about it, because he got his hands on the ball, and if he got his hands on the ball, it was his. But he is arguably the smartest player that I've ever coached. Period, hands down. There's two kids that come to mind. Two. I can't think of anybody else outside of those two that are the two smartest kids that I ever coached. And he's one of them. But he's going to impart some of his wisdom, some of his experience upon you guys, and take it all in, because he's had quite a journey in life. He's had a great support system around him. I'm very proud of where he is in life right now, and obviously you see he's one of our 1,000-point scorers up there on that board. And at this time, I'll turn it over to him and let him talk to you a little bit about his
too, man. He is my cousin, so I need y'all to pay attention. Also, he also won my number.
Sit down, Joker.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, I appreciate it, Coach, both of you guys. Before we dive in, I think the easy part is talking about basketball, right? So like Coach just said, when I view basketball, I never viewed it as, I was never the most talented, right? My brother could walk on the court, dunk right now in full clothes. I had to work my tail off to be able to dunk. So I tried to figure out where can I get my advantages, right? So when he's saying come up to the free throw line extended 45 degrees, sports are about angles, right? Because the higher you come now, you got a better angle to go down into the post, right? The higher you come now, when you triple threat and you get the ball, you're more of a threat to score compared to if you're down there where they can trap you, right? But it's angles all over. The sideline is another defender, right? Earlier you guys were playing defense and I watched somebody go right down the sideline, but if you cut this off, guess what? It's a charge. Right, basketball is really just so simple because a lot of this stuff is just angles and it's just who is more willing to be disciplined for the longest. Like I really like the Patriots. I'm an Eagle fan, but I like the Patriots because what they show is if we don't beat ourselves, we're more likely to win. Right, so if you guys don't turn the ball over, guess what? You're giving yourself a better chance to win. As soon as you step on the court, if you're willing to go harder than whoever you're playing against, you're giving yourself a better chance to win. And that's all that this really boils down to, right? How can we give our team the best chance to win? How can we give our team the best chance to be successful? And at the end of the day, if you're not willing to do something to make your team better, you're a horrible teammate. Right? But like I said, the basketball is the easy part. But if I were to say to you, what does basketball mean to you, what would you say? What does basketball mean to you? You don't know? What's basketball mean to you? What's basketball mean to you? Everything. What's basketball mean to you? Everything. What's basketball mean to you? Life. What's basketball mean to you? Everything. See, the reason I ask that is because that's not for me, right? But like if you know what this thing right here means to you, now your teammates can hold you accountable to that. Like if you say that this thing right here means everything to you, you don't have the opportunity to cheat on sprints. If you say this thing means everything to you, when that ball's on the ground, you can't not go for it. If you say this thing means everything to you, damn the points, what are you going to do to make sure your teammate's successful? Like a lot of people do this thing, just talking in this lip service. But if this thing really means what you say it means, I promise you, the stuff that you guys was out here doing, you wouldn't be doing. Right? 40 minutes into practice, you say you just waking up. That's impossible. We played a game at 9 in the morning and I scored 25 points in the first quarter. Because as soon as you step on this court, there is no, oh, my bad. There is no do-overs. There is no, let's get it next time. Like when you step on this court, this is the great equalizer. Because if you're not ready to play, you're going to get embarrassed. And when this city, we come from York, a lot of people talk down on us, but they don't realize you can say whatever you want about York, but I guarantee you, we going to have heart. Right? And that's what I was talking to my cousin about. Because a lot of this new generation, some of the stuff y'all do, y'all is soft. Like there's no other way to put it. And I mean, you can be soft and still be successful, but where I grew up from playing on Penn Park, I promise you, some of the stuff that you complain about, you would never even think about that stuff. Like this basketball stuff is so sweet. Like when you step on here, can't nobody hurt you, you get a chance to show your talent to the world. Everybody paying money to come watch you guys play, and the last thing we can do is take this thing for granted. Right? Because growing up in York, we get opportunities sometimes, and sometimes we don't. But what I learned is, I got a full ride to go play basketball, right at Millersville. Right? I grew up right down the street on Persian and Maple Street. And my pops moved out the crib when there was a drive-by, and the crib got shot up, and he said, we gotta move. So we moved to Kurtz Avenue, and me and my brother was still hooping, still doing. My brother, we the only brothers up there for a reason, because we worked. Like when we come to practice, after we left practice, my pops took us to the CA so we could lift and so we can get extra shots, the stuff people don't see. Right? Like I got some of you guys on social media, I see the work you guys put in, but then you come out here and you bullshit. I don't get it. Like, if you say you want to get something, the only way you're ever going to maximize your potential and your ability is if every time you touch this thing, you give it 120. There's not no other option. It can't be, oh, I'm going to cheat today because coach ain't looking. I promise you, coach is going to be cool regardless. He got a family. They grown, they cool. Their job is to make sure that you do what you say you're going to do. And then you guys come in here and you guys basically lie. That's all that it is, it's a lie, right? Basketball means everything to me, but when you give them passes, you're passing like that. Like, bro, I promise you, are you guys champions? Because in championships, that's a steal. And every time they steal it, that's 2 points for them. Like a one-hand pass, half-court shots, you guys got 3 games in 3 days. Do you know how hard that is? Like, I know this is like simple, oh, you guys will play, win, lose, you go home and make your highlight film. But when people really, this mean everything to you, bump a highlight film. If we lose by a point or we lose by 10 points, I can't sleep that night. Like, losing is something that is so hard that I could never fathom doing it. And that's why when I lost my scholarship, my life just crumbled. Because I just can't accept failure. Right? But I went up to Millersville, and instead of being focused on basketball, instead of being focused on school, I was focused on girls, I was focused on smoking, I was focused on drinking and going to parties. And guess what? They're not as nice as Coach Gallen. They took my scholarship right away after a year and a half. Coach called me right into his office and said, hey, we got to do what we got to do to get these grades up for the school. So the people with the 3 lowest GPAs were taking all their scholarships. I was one of them. So I don't sit up here, I don't do this for lip service. I'm trying to show you guys, because I promise you, some of you guys got the talent where you can play in college. But the last thing I would want to do is to set you guys up to go to college and fail. The last thing I want to do is set you guys up to be a man and fail. Right? Because that's what all this is really about. I love sports because sports is a great metaphor for real life. Let me ask you a question, basketball question, right? What's the easiest way to get open on a basketball court? Say what? Moving? I'm looking for a very specific thing. This is how I scored over 1,000 points. I could shoot threes. I was more of a mid-range shooter. What's the easiest way to get open? Screen. Set a screen. You set a screen for somebody, you're automatically going to be open, right? But guess what? In life, what's the easiest way to have a successful life? To help somebody else. You see how the two correlate? So if I set a screen, I'm helping you get open, but as a result of me helping you, I'm open. Same thing in life. If every day you get out of practice and I pick you up and I say, yo, let's go smoke, how am I helping you? Right? Like, how am I helping you? But see, the thing that happens, especially here in York, is we start tricking ourselves and we start living for social media and we start living for people that never left this 5 square mile city that we call York. And if you've never been out of York, how are you going to tell me about my goals, my dreams, my aspirations? Life don't work like that. So I'll never forget, because I lost my scholarship and I came back to York, and like I said, I was drinking, I was smoking, so I lost my scholarship, came back to York, started selling drugs, and everybody knows what comes with the streets, right? Death in jail. So it was about 2 years after I was selling drugs that I ended up going to jail, because the first time I got arrested, they gave me probation, right? Most of you guys probably know somebody that's on probation. What they don't tell you is once you get probation, if you get caught again, you're going to jail. There's not no questions asked, right? So I ended up getting caught. And I'll never forget, because I got arrested on Valentine's Day. I don't know if you guys got girlfriends, but if you do have a girlfriend, never do anything wrong on Valentine's Day, because it's hard to come back from that. So I got arrested on Valentine's Day, right? February 2017, a week after my daughter's two-year-old party. And I'll never forget when I got arrested, because I was right on South and Queen Street. Me and my girlfriend were supposed to go out to eat, and I had one more lick to catch, an 8 cell, right? 40 bucks. So I go to catch it right in the jungle. And I'll never forget, the cops came and got behind me, and I came down Duke Street, turned on South Street, and the cop hit his lights. When he hit his lights, I was sitting next to my man, and I threw him the gun. I had a gun on my lap and I had a quarter pound of weed in my backseat. So I knew I was going to jail, right? So I've been in chases, so I was about to pill. I threw my man the gun. I said, yo, we out. He threw it back and said, nah, chill, we good. And that second he said we good, I froze. And that second I froze, the cops pulled us over. And I'll never forget, I called my girlfriend on the phone and said, yo, I'm about to go to jail because I have a gun, I have a quarter pound of weed, and I'm already on probation. And she was way out by Gabriel Brothers. She got to South and Queen Street in 5 minutes. And I know she got there in 5 minutes because the cops didn't even get a chance to take me. I looked at the side of the car, and all I see is my girlfriend sitting there crying. Like, that's the last visual I have, is the person that I love the most, the person I told means everything to me. Guess what? She's sitting there crying. And we was talking about it the other day, and she said, yeah, I want to come open the door. But then what? So that's one thing I want you guys to think about, right? Because it's real easy when you're young to make a decision, to make a choice, but then what? Right? Like, if you skip practice, then what? If you don't turn in your homework assignment, then what? If you stay out late and don't come home and get caught for curfew, then what? If you say you're an athlete and this means everything, but you're smoking and drinking, then what? Like, what does your decisions lead to? Because at the end of the day, all we are is a result of the decisions we make every single day, right? And that's what character is. Like, nobody was just born with character. Nobody, you don't just wake up. He got sons. He don't just wake up and say, hey son, here goes some character, right? Every day you got to wake up and you got to fight to be the person that you say you're going to be. So if this means everything to you, every day you get an opportunity to do this thing right here, you have to show exactly what this means. Because I promise you, it's real easy to say that this means everything, and then you step on the court and it means nothing. It's real easy to say that I'm willing to ride for my brother, the person that's my teammate, the person that's beside me, the person I'm gonna make sure nothing happens to, but the second we step on the court, somebody from the other team starts talking to him, I disappear. Like, it's real easy to talk. And especially here in York, I know you guys see it. That's why there's so many people that are old, but still act like they're young. And that's what I've been telling the kids in my program. There's nothing worse than a partial adult, right? And a partial adult is somebody that picks and chooses when they want to be grown. Like, I realized that being 27, like, there's no such thing as being an adult. It's like an age. Age is nothing but a number. But I promise you, because we all know an adult right now that if they have a parent-teacher conference, right, they don't show up for their kid, right? Like, their lectures getting cut off, they don't pay their car, they don't want to go to work. Like, the stuff adults have to do, the responsibilities that adults have, they don't want to do. But when it's time to drink and smoke and party and have fun with girls, guess what? They there. They sign up for that because you can get in the club because you're 21. That's a partial adult. When you pick and choose when you want to take care of your responsibilities. And you guys have one of the biggest advantages right now because guess what? The amount of responsibilities you have is limited. But as you become older and as you become a man and your responsibilities start growing and you start realizing that this thing called basketball, it actually isn't everything. Because it was everything for me until I lost my scholarship, never played basketball again, and in a blink of an eye, I realized what was really important. While I was sitting in jail on the floor crying, I realized it was my daughter who was 2 years old that I wasn't there for. I realized it was my girlfriend that I wasn't there for. On Father's Day, my dad came to visit me and my two brothers on Father's Day in jail. I realized that's what's important, right? Not the superficial, artificial stuff that we like act like we care about. So I really want you guys to think about what it is that you want out of this thing called life. Because like I said, we can sit down, we can talk basketball all day, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who you are, LeBron, Kobe, Michael Jordan, or yourself. And one day basketball is done. And the question is, when basketball is done, are you going to be able to look back over your life and say that you use this tool to the most of your ability, to the best of your ability, that you use this thing and you got the most out of it? Because there's nothing worse than a lemon that still got juice in it, but guess what? We say we cool, we don't get the whole juice. I promise you, I'm trying to turn this thing up. Like, my goal is to be a millionaire, so I gotta squeeze that every juice. I gotta squeeze every juice out of the orange. Why? Because nobody's gonna give us nothing. Earlier they said, oh, that was a foul. Coach said, we don't get them calls in the county. We don't expect them. Like, we don't expect people to just hand us stuff. We don't get handouts. When you look like what we look like and you come from where we come from, they expect the worst from us. And as long as we give them the worst, guess what? They're gonna keep expecting that. That's why I say change the narrative, because every time somebody looks at me, they're gonna say, oh, I'm gonna give somebody from your kind an opportunity, because when TP came, he killed them. I'm gonna give somebody an opportunity because TP messed up, but he got back on them. So like, that's why I do what I do. And I want you guys to really think about that, because in a blink of an eye, how many seniors do we got? So in a blink of an eye, you guys are gone. How many juniors? And then a year will go by, you guys are gone. Sophomores? And then you guys are gone. Like, it really happens that fast. Because my sophomore year, we won a district championship. Me and my brother got to play together. He graduated. My junior year, we won the county championship. My senior year, we won the county championship. Then we were done. I played JV as a freshman, so I got about, what, 90 varsity games? Like, that's not even 100. Think about how small that is. That sample size, right? So my seniors, you guys are what, about halfway done your season?
No, we're only 5 games in.
5 games? Okay, because we go to what, March?
Depending you get the states.
Well, that's what we're speaking into existence, right?
That's what we plan on doing.
Because that's 3 months. That's like quarter one, right? If you break down the months, and quarter one is the first 3 months of the 2023. So the first quarter of next year, you guys' high school career is done. Like, there's no do-overs. There's no, you can't get it back. That's why when it's like you miss a layup and it's giggling, and you give a lazy pass and it's giggling, I get it. But then when you realize, like, oh damn, this is done one day, then what? Then you realize like, oh, all them stuff that we was laughing and joking at wasn't really funny, right? Like I'm sitting in jail and we wearing other people's underwear, but people are here joking and having a good time. Like this isn't life, this isn't funny. So I want you guys to think about that. I'm gonna leave you guys with this story, because I know the girls got practice, but this whole thing is really about perspective, right? Because like I said, basketball is easy, but being a man isn't. Being honest to and true to your word isn't. Giving adults respect and being who you say you are, that's not always easy. That's why adults struggle with it. But the younger you can grasp it, I promise you, the more successful you're gonna be in your life. And the story's about two old guys, right? And I love telling this story because again, it's perspective. But the two old guys, how many of you guys ever been to a nursing home? So the nursing home's kind of set up like a hospital, right? You come in, there's the one bed, there's the sheet, on the other side there's the other bed. So the two old men, they were friends, they was probably in there for about 3, 4, 5 years together. And the one guy that was by the door, both of them kind of was stuck in their bed, right? So the guy that was by the door used to always ask the guy by the window, what does he see? Right? Like you by the window, I'm by the door, all I see is people walking back and forth. What do you see outside that window? And my guy would always paint a beautiful picture for him, right? Like, oh, I see a dog chasing their tail. I see kids out there playing basketball. I see a couple that just got married. Somebody just proposed to their wife. And one day he said, what do you see? He said, man, I see a butterfly going by. My man he's always appreciative, always thankful. And one day that guy that was by that window died, right? And that's not the point of the story. Obviously, we all know people that passed. We all have a date. But when that guy died, my man by the door said to the nurse, hey nurse, can you move me over by the window? And the nurse is like, nah, you tripping, we're not doing that, right? Like that's doing too much. And he's like, please, I want to see what my friend was seeing. Can you move me out there? Can you move me by the window? So the nurse obliged them and the nurse moved him over by the window. And my man pulled over the blinds and was looking outside and all he seen was a big brick wall. Looked just like that, a big brick wall. And he said to the nurse, I need somebody to come knock this wall down because my man was telling me all this beautiful stuff that was out there. And the nurse is like, yeah, you tripping, ain't nobody coming to knock the wall down, you feel me? And he said, no nurse, I want to see what my man was saying. Can somebody do something about this? Can we go to a different room, something? And the nurse said no. And the guy couldn't understand why. And the nurse said to him, you didn't know. He's like, I didn't know what? What you mean? She's like, you didn't know about your man, about your friend? So I didn't know what? What do you mean? She said that your friend that was by that window all them years was born blind. So everything he was telling you he seen was for you. He couldn't see if he tried. He couldn't see if we gave him glasses and laces. Everything that he told us he seen outside of that window was for my man by the door. And that story is so powerful because how often do we live our lives just for ourselves? Right? Like when you look around, these are your teammates, these are your brothers. Every day you go to war with them. And I promise you, whenever you feel weak and you feel like you can't do something, you're not good enough, you're not strong enough, you're not smart enough, that's when you gotta lean on your brothers and on your support system. That's when you do something for somebody else to impact their life regardless of what your life looks like. And that's the core, that's the essence of who a great person is. Somebody that's able to impact somebody else's life regardless of what their circumstance or situation looks like. Because one thing I can promise you all, it doesn't matter who you are or where you live at in life, adversity, opposition, struggle, we all gonna have to face it at some time. But when that thing, that hard thing, that opposition, that struggle, when that thing comes knocking, how you react to it is ultimately what dictates what kind of man you are or what kind of man you want to be every day. Like you said, I am Tavon Parker. I appreciate you guys this time. I'm gonna come to your game tonight with some of my kids from my program, so I'm hoping that you guys can put on a show. But I mean, basketball is really as simple as Coach said. If you guys can literally stay disciplined and stay consistent in everything you do, most of the other teams can't. So now you guys are starting to reach that point where the play time is done. It's time to get serious about this season because I promise you, if not, the season's gonna fly by and you're not gonna get the results that you want. And one thing that I was always taught is never complain about results that you didn't put the work in for. So if you're not willing to put the work in to be a 1,000-point scorer, when your career is done, you can't say, man, I should have. Because I know a lot of should have, I know a lot of could have, I know a lot of used to be's. And all that is you went your life and you didn't execute at the level you wanted to execute at. You didn't get the results that you thought that you would get. And usually when you don't get results, it's because you cheated somewhere. And that's why I love the saying, what's done in the dark comes to light. Because if you cheat on this, if you cheat on your girlfriend, you cheat on your wife, you cheat in real life, like I did, try to sell drugs, like what's done in the dark, that stuff catches up to you. And when it catches up to you, then you have no choice but to look yourself in the mirror and get it right. And I had 14 months of my life to do it. My job is to make sure you guys don't have to waste any months of your life trying to figure this thing out.
Were you was in jail for 14?
Yeah, yup. All right, come on, let's get a breakout, get you guys out of here. Bearcats on 3, family on 6. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6.
Thank you, sir.